This is Dave Schumann here for the Success for Life podcast. I have on Lamar Mcknight, not to be confused with the fantastic singer from the 80s and 90s.
Hey, you'd be surprised at how many times I hear
that. I hear that. He is one of the top, fastest rising quarterback coaches in the country. I've been lucky enough to work with him on my football club that we run for 7-on-7. I played Division I football as a quarterback, as a coach over at Union City High School in New Jersey, one of the most powerful programs in the state. And so I'm really happy to have him on. His background, obviously he played football, but one of the most interesting things about Lamar is that he basically decided that he was going to learn everything he could about being a great quarterback teacher, did all that, and in really, I would say, a 1-year time frame, and he can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's 1 year. Exactly 1 year.
1 year, he's gone from just beginning the process to working with some of the top quarterbacks, in the Northeast, and is one of the fast rising guys, and worked my camps. But he's worked a lot of different camps and a lot of different programs, and he has his own practice. So we're going to talk a lot with him about what it takes to be successful. I'll flip it over to him, let him give a little bit more in depth in his background, and then we'll dive right in on some of the things that he thinks has helped him really rise very quickly and become successful.
Yep. So as he mentioned, I'm Lamar Mcknight out of Jersey City, New Jersey, to be exact. I spent some time over at Contra Costa College as a JUCO quarterback. I started off as a JUCO. Unfortunately, I didn't have the grades to go Division I right out of high school, but I took the junior college route. Out of junior college, went to Tennessee State, and things didn't work out with me over at Tennessee State. As far as the quarterback situation, I was sitting behind someone who was basically a record holder at the university. So I took it upon myself to transfer down a level to Division II Adams State in Colorado, where I got my bachelor's degree in sport management, had all dreams and desires of being a sports agent. Hence is why I like to, be around Dave a lot. He don't know I wanted to be a sports agent. He's living my life right now. I'm a little jealous, but that's what I wanted to do. And it's never too late to get that started. But as far as training goes, I started training once I graduated college, considering the fact that I was actually retired from the sport a year early. I was retired due to too many concussions. So I didn't decide to play. The doctors actually retired me from one too many concussions. So that's kind of what led me into becoming a coach, because it was the next best thing to actually playing. And, I feel as though it was best for me. And I find way more passion in it than I did as when I was playing, which is really funny.
Well, I think that's one of the things that makes a good coach a great coach, and someone that can be real successful, is that they find the thrill and excitement of helping other guys and helping young men get better. Now I'm trying to remember how we exactly got connected, but I think it was one of the events, if I'm not mistaken. It was the club. Might have been the club.
I want to say. It might have been a club. But I've always knew who you were. I partook in your event when I was a sophomore and a junior,
right,
out in Nutley, New Jersey. That's when we were still actually doing bench pressing as a testing.
Yes.
I remember me being like 150, trying to lift 185 as much as I can, just so I could show up in front of coaches. But I kind of knew who you were the whole time. I followed you around throughout these last 10 years or so, and once I had the opportunity to introduce myself to you, I didn't hesitate at all, and it worked out for the best.
So I want to talk about, and that's one of the big things with the Success for Life podcast, and everybody kind of, I think was really cool is a different route. Like I interview CEOs to guys who are building businesses like yourself in a specific niche. And what's really cool is exactly what I think you talked about. I want to start right there, actually. what made you decide that you wanted to not just be a quarterback coach? Because there are guys that work with a few people here or there, and don't attend a lot of events, and they kind of keep it. What made you decide that you wanted to be like this, to be your business? Something that you if you can go to it, be doing this all the time. What was that decision process? What made you decide that?
It came when again I started off. I didn't even start off training. I started off as a coach, and I was in my first year at Union City as a coach. And I was actually hanging out with one of my friends, and we were watching. It's crazy. We were watching George Whitfield on ESPN, and I think this was around the time when he was training Johnny Manziel, if I'm not mistaken, right out of college. And just the way he delivered his message and the way he delivered his philosophy, I should say, it stuck out to me. And also, I would Google and I would YouTube a lot of quarterback coaches just to find out more about the quarterback position, considering the fact that I was a coach, to only realize the same exact language that these guys were speaking, the same exact techniques and the same exact, motivation these guys were in. That's exactly how I was living my lifestyle as far as the quarterback position. And, it started off real young. I started off with a young kid, and I didn't really see myself as this quarterback trainer until I started receiving the high demand. And, I pretty much feel like that's where anybody in business kind of takes off. Is like, okay, once you start something, once you plant a seed and you see it grow just a little bit and you get joy and excitement out of it, it's like, why would I not want to do this for the rest of my life if I can? So once I started putting my foot forward as far as the quarterback trainer world, it blew up. And once it blew up, it challenged me. I started receiving, interest and inquiries from, all of these top guys around the state. It challenged me to be a student again of the game. I had to research. I had to do my homework. I had to see how people train. I had to see what was good and bad training. And I felt some joy in it that I honestly don't see myself, not having, or not training again. So it became one of those things that was effortless to me. And it was more effortless to me as a trainer than it was as a player. And I know that's a little weird to hear, but once I got into training, I'm like, wow, like, you mean to tell me I can still be around football and impact kids and still build relationships with higher ups more than I was doing as a player? So it kind of stuck with me. And, right now, today, I couldn't tell you what else I'll be doing in the next 10 years, because it's like it's in me. That plant is growing, and that seed is no longer a seed, and now I'm blossoming. So I'm excited for what's ahead, honestly.
What, as far as you started to build it, what were some of the things that you did to build momentum? I think that's the hardest thing when people, start a business, start a program, is getting that momentum, getting people to say, yes, I'm willing to pay you to coach. I would say that's the hardest thing. Like, and you're laughing because you know what that's probably like, right? So, a lot of people say, hey, I want to, and you're young, like the whole millennial craze is entrepreneurship, right? Everybody wants to run their own business, right?
Everybody wants to.
Everybody. And I had started mine not too, dissimilar to you. Back in 2002, I was actually doing speed training, and like speed quickness actually started out as before I actually 6 months before I got into football, I was actually coaching track. So and I, right from the get-go, I wrote this book on speed training and started selling it online. And then this is something you wouldn't even know because I don't do it anymore. But it really started, like, people started buying it and people started requesting to train with me. And then I kind of started running with that, and that was the beginning of it. But the hardest thing that people can't get past is when someone goes to you, I don't have the money, or I don't want to do this, and being able to convince them of your expertise and finding the right people too, right? Because you don't want to waste time. I always say this, and it's funny because when I started my camps, we don't charge a lot, but we charge a little bit, right, for every camp. And I always used to say, if people are willing to invest a little bit of money, that means that they're serious about being successful. And I run one of the big, I don't know if you work that camp or not, but I run the couple of free camps, and I always tell people I wrote this little article that I could sell out a camp in 4 hours. 4 hours.
I believe it.
And I did it. I made a free camp, and I put it online, and in 4 hours I sold it out. 4 hours. I just hit my database. So people are always like, oh, you should remember. And you know what happened? So 200, it was like, I think that was one of my smaller ones. It was I kept it to 100. 100 kids sold it out in 4 hours, okay? And the funny part is this. More than half the kids didn't show up. Right? Because why? It's free.
It's
so
free.
They just sold it out, right? So there might have been some kids who really wanted to go, right?
Yeah.
That got locked out because it was sold out in 4 hours and ran the camp. You got expenses with your camp, right? No matter what it is, you got expenses with it. For 100 people, 50 kids show up, right? So you hire coaches and all this kind of thing. And it's one of those things, and I did this other middle school camp in June. We had a 200-person cap, and 125 kids showed up, right? So 75 kids. And that got locked out in, I think it was 2 weeks or 3 weeks we did it, and it was sold out, right? But there might have been another 75 kids that want to go. So that's why I always say, if they pay a little bit,
you're
going to have a higher show ratio,
And it's crazy how that sounds, because you would think if it was free, more people would show up. But when there's no dollar invested in that, it's absolutely fine in their head to not show up because you didn't spend nothing, you didn't lose nothing. You know what I mean? That's how they think, at least. So
absolutely, that's part of the investment process. So talk about, I think, probably you had to go through that transition, right?
It was more of me being proactive about the way I wanted to mark myself and brand myself, because after a while, after the first 6 months, it became a brand more than me just selling myself and servicing. So after I realized, what I was capable of doing, I started being proactive on selling myself, on being an authentic guy who was going to train and not just going to go and train your kid to, put a video up on Instagram and get 1,000 likes. So once I got in the mindset of building my brand, I became extremely proactive. I came across a lot of people, you being one of them, and what I started to do was I reached out. I reached out even when I had worked Phil Simms All-Star game. Me and him talked at his All-Star game, and I told him, hey, because he Phil Simms approached me. He was like, he saw me throwing, and he's like, bro, he's like, what are you doing? Why are you not playing somewhere? And I was like, I can't. I'm retired from the sport. And the next conversation was, I took the opportunity to say, hey, well, I'm a trainer. Can you teach me how you train quarterbacks? And just little stuff like that has allowed me to put myself in a different category, because there's a lot of people out here. There's a lot of trainers out here, and I don't like to badmouth. There's a lot of trainers who are not as proactive about their business as I am. And once I figured that out, that's what I used as my strength. You know what I mean? I didn't try to compete. All I told myself was, well, it's not about what these other trainers are doing. What are they not doing? Are they not engaging with the parents? Are they not, telling the parents what the workout is going to be today? Are they not text? I do things as small as New Year's, Christmas, Thanksgiving. I send out a message blast to each and every last one of my clients and their parents. Just try to build that relationship, so that because it's money at the end of the day. And I'm not gonna lie, ever since last year, my price has went up tremendously. So the higher my price goes up, it's the more convincing you got to do. And from my behalf, I wanted to convince my clients and my target audience with my work. I didn't want to convince them with my word, just saying, hey, your child is going to be the #1 quarterback. No, it wasn't with that. It was just, I've had some success with the quarterbacks I've worked with. I'm pretty sure you've come across my work, and I want you to know that I'm here for you guys' best interest. And I train a mental aspect. I don't have, quote unquote, a style of training. My philosophy actually for quarterback training is to adapt to each quarterback. I want to adapt to each quarterback. There's some quarterback coaches who, some people, they teach one style of throwing, this style of throwing, or I don't know, just they have their set philosophy. on how or what a quarterback should be. When in reality, my philosophy is just to train by the quarterback and to adapt by the quarterback. So if I have a guy who's a dual threat guy, well, we're gonna work on those strengths. If I have a guy who's a pro style quarterback, we'll work on that. It's just whatever my quarterback, whatever their strengths are, that's what we're gonna build on. So I think that's what set me apart from basically the people who I'm in competition with, because as a lot of people probably don't know, some of the best quarterback coaches are right here in New Jersey. And I put my foot in the fire not knowing that the best, you know what I mean? Like, and honestly speaking, I've worked with one. Even as a quarterback, my trainer was Mehdi Williams was my quarterback coach. So even when I got into this side of training, I knew I was up against the Medis, the Rasiopis. Like, these are the guys who were before me. You know what I mean? So I respect those guys, but at the same time, even I had worked the Roman Soldier Showcase, and we had to introduce ourselves. And Mehdi probably won't even remember this. We had to introduce ourselves, and they asked us, like, what was our goals, and I said right there in front of every parent in that damn room, in that conference room, I said, hey, I'm Lamar Mcknight, played at Tennessee State. I'm from New Jersey, whatever the situation was. And I was like, my goal is to beat this guy out. And he was standing right next to me. And he looking at me like, oh, okay, all right. And like the whole room just like went up in shock. But like, that's just the kind of environment I like to build. You know what I mean? I like to know what I'm up against. And I think me being proactive about anything. If a client tells me, hey, your price is pretty high, and I'm like, all right, well, we'll do it for half off, because I'm not here to break your pockets. At the end of the day, if you want to work out with me and you have some kind of talent, then we can do what's best for you. If I got to drive to you, it might be a little more, but hell, I'm single. I'm not married. I have no kids. So if I got to drive an hour a day just to train a kid for an hour and a half, 2 hours to get him better, I'll do that. And I don't think a lot of trainers are willing to do that today. Maybe because I'm the rook in the game and I'm still young, but I'll take that advantage and I'll run with it, man. I don't care.
That's the right way to build your reputation. It's funny because when I originally started out, this is how I started my business. Like I said, with speed training, I was driving to Long Island. Anybody who's willing to have me, I would go and work with. And then, that evolved into like I had. You may not even know this, but I had 3 training facilities at one point, and I had opened my first training facility 2 blocks from Bill Parisi's, and this is when Bill Parisi was the speed trainer. 2 blocks from Bill Parisi's original facility. And everyone was like, "You're crazy," but I would say, like, one of the great things about starting out a business and like if you're willing to just go get it, your ignorance as to what's going on around you is an advantage. Like,
it is.
I didn't know all these things, and I just went and got customers and was like, showing people how good it was. And then, it wasn't until like you built a certain amount of traction that I'd be like, people would be like, so-and-so said you're not a very good trainer. And I'd be like, I don't even know that person. Wait a minute, people are hating on me now? Like, once you get to a certain point, like, I was like, wait a minute, I don't even know these people, right? Man. So it's but I think that's like one of the interesting things. I think people always, I watch, just like you, all kinds of stuff on business and developing business and leadership and everything, and they always talk about like you have to, you want to have some sort of plan and everything like that. And I always say to myself, like, I built $1 million business and I really didn't have any plan. Like,
no plan. I woke up and started like, yo, I'm going to train quarterbacks. That was it.
That's it. And so I think the plan does come into place, in a lot of cases. Once you start to get rolling, you got to figure out where you want to go. Which eventually that's what I had to start to do. Because as you start to, as it starts to roll and your time gets constrained, as you probably start to find, as your time gets constrained, you're like, okay, where do I want to go with this thing?
Yeah.
And that's what planning becomes. But like to get the ball rolling, it's like,
no, just go. People ask me all the time, and they like, damn, you blew up so quick. And I was like, what's funny is I had no intentions on like I knew I was going to be really good at quarterback training just because when I played the position, when I tell you I was a student of the position, like I cared about everything from body language, from how you talk to people, those, like, you know what I mean? So I knew I would excel in this field, but like you said, the best thing was not knowing what the hell I was getting myself into. So I wasn't opposed to anything, you know what I mean? And I went in fighting, swinging, you know what I mean? So now it's
Right.
like you catch these counter punches now, and it's like, damn, where'd this come from? Where'd that come from? But you know, it works out because, like you said, that part of you just going in is an advantage to the T. And you know, I want people to feel that pressure of who the hell does he think he is? That's what I want people to feel like. Who the hell does Lamar think he is? Yeah, I'm exactly who you think I am because you're talking about me. That's what I care about. So it all works out, man. It all works out in its favor.
I'll tell you what's interesting. So you just like when I started out, when I would see someone that was like known in the industry, I'll you know, in football, it could be, you know, like for you, it might have been Medi, right? And
Yeah.
And when I started the camps, it was and the started building that, you know, when you actually, I guess it might have been a couple of years in when you went to it, a few years. But you know, I reached out to Nike, okay, which is still one of the biggest camps this day, and they run the what's the big event they run?
Elite 11.
They have Elite 11, but they have another one. I can't think of the name of it. But so I reached out to the guys. The company was called Student Sports at the time. They're now been bought by Jerry Jones has like a hedge fund or something like that for sports, and they got bought by that. But anyway, so the Student Sports CEO, I reached out to him. I started building the underclassmen thing, which you went to, and we started rolling, and we started having success. And so I reached out because they only did juniors at the time. Now, obviously, guys are doing, you know, but I was really the first person for like 4 or 5 years running stuff for like 9th and 10th grade. Nobody was doing anything for that.
Yep.
So I reached out to Student Sports, and I think at the time I had 5 events maybe or 6 or something like that. I reached out to the guy and I said, hey, listen, I'm really growing this underclassmen thing. I'd like to bring my events to Student Sports, bring it as a part of your company, and I'll come work for you guys, okay? And I'll never forget what the guy's name – I can't think of his name now, but I'll never forget what he said to me. He says, I don't have time for this. I have 15 events to run. That's what he said. He said, I have 15 events to run that they were running at the time, and you know, I don't have time for this, you know, best of luck to you, right?
Damn.
And from that point forward, I said, is this how, like, a guy who runs a company, like, talks to people, number one. And number two, I said, you know what's funny? I'm going to become bigger than this group. And then in the end, he's going to be telling people not to go to my things because I became bigger than him. So basically what happened was I just pushed. I came into the offices and I said, we're going to grow this thing as fast as we possibly can, and it's going to be a lot of pressure on you, and you guys might hate me because I'm going to push it, but we're going for it. So I went to like 15, and then I went to 51, 44 to 51, and then it just kept growing from there. And we went from 15 events to 44. We literally went every weekend. I don't do this anymore because obviously you work a lot of my camps, and there are people that run different camps for me. But back then, I went 22 weekends straight, two camps every weekend. So we would go Saturday, we would like be in like, I don't know, Columbus, Ohio, and Sunday morning we would have an event in, let's say, Nashville, Tennessee. So we would literally run from the camp, sprint to the airport, get on a plane, fly out, land late at night, let's say in Nashville, go run the camp in the morning, and then fly home. And we were doing that every single weekend for 22 straight weekends. And at the time I had a training facility, so we not only were doing that, but I was training. I wasn't training as many athletes at that point, but we had 3 training facilities. So we were running facilities. So I was there 5 days a week, basically. And then doing this. So I was working 7 days a week, around the clock. And so But what I learned from that was exactly what if you want to become the best, who cares what everybody else is doing and who cares what they think? Because I tell people this all the time. Like when someone, like people get wound up like on Twitter, someone hates on them on Twitter or something like that. I go, you don't know them. They don't know you. Who cares what they think? Like I'm never gonna know you. I'm never gonna and if you meet me in person, I guarantee you're gonna be nice to my face because that stuff, email, Twitter, all that kind of stuff, even though I love it, I live on it just like you do. It as far as what people think about it, who cares? I can't tell you. I have I used to save all the emails from people that would curse us out.
That's so funny, man.
Okay. Now the truth is 99% of the people are great, right? But when you start to work with a lot of people have opinions on things, right? And so if you let the opinions of others dictate, most of the time people you don't know dictate what you do, you're gonna be you're gonna be hamstrung and you're not gonna be able to build what it is that you want. And the truth is, at the end of the day, the one person you're really competing with is yourself, right?
Yourself, yes, absolutely.
So
and that's
go ahead.
No, I just think what you say plays a huge part in how quick my business has taken off, because again, you're gonna get those those punches from left field, or you're gonna get those people who's gonna smell a little bit of what you're doing that's good, and they're gonna find the quickest way to talk down on you. And honestly, I read this book. I forget which book it was. I don't read like 1,000 books already, but it says most of the time people are only going to talk about you because you're relevant. You know what I mean? They're not going to talk about you. They're not going to talk down on you if you're irrelevant. And it makes sense. Think about how many irrelevant people that you've come across that you've never said nothing to or bad about. And I'm not a bad mouth person, but if somebody's name is in a conversation that I'm having, they're probably relevant. So it makes a lot of sense, and it takes a strong person and somebody with really thick skin to kind of accept that fact, because if somebody comes and tell you after you don't put in hard work on something, and you did everything you did to make yourself become good in anything, somebody comes and tells you you're not good enough, or this is not how you do it, or I don't know if you're gonna be like that. That stuff is hard to take in. I don't care what nobody says. Because we're all human at the end of the day, and it kind of leaves a bad impression on you. But me, I've defeated Dave so many odds, like people don't even know my backstory, and I've defeated so many odds, and I've been up against so much throughout the course of my life up until this point, to where it's like anything that comes at me now it's almost like it's like fuel. You know what I mean? Like whatever distracted me, I don't let it really bother me. If it's something that's gonna feed my focus, like right now, this podcast is feeding my focus. It's something towards my dream, something towards my goal. If somebody called me just to say, hey, one of your quarterbacks got benched last year, I don't want to hear that. You know what I mean? I want to speak with people and build myself up around people who's gonna feed my goals rather than those distractions, man. Because I think that's the thing what people focus on. And it's the same with quarterback training. I like to focus on strengths. Yes, weaknesses are what kind of gets you out of the way, but I think too often people focus on those weaknesses and they forget about building the strengths that they have. You know what I mean? It's like Steph Curry. Could you imagine Steph Curry right now in his prime trying to go become a dominant dunker? No, Steph Curry knows he can dunk the ball, but he's going to keep working on that damn 3-point shot because that's what got him where he is. So you're not going to see me go out of my way to put energy into something that is not going to make me better. Like if you think I'm weak at something, fine, I'll take it into consideration. I'll work on it, but I know I'm really good at building the quarterback, and whatever I got to do to build a quarterback, I'll do it. If it takes a year or two, as long as that quarterback is healthy and the family is willing to be patient and stick with me throughout the process, which is another thing I really dislike about quarterback training. But if as long as the family can find a way to, stick it out, then we'll become better people overall. But I'm a thick-skinned person. I have really thick skin, and like I said, I've already defeated odds that people see on movies. I've lived in quote unquote the hood. You know, I don't come from poverty, but my mom didn't make over. I don't even think my mom was making over $50,000 growing up in my entire life. You know what I mean? So to me, you know, I had to get that football scholarship. You know, I had to graduate college. These are the things that I had to do in order to set myself up. So now when people come at me now, it's just like, bro, come on, bro. Like you better come stronger than that, because I've already been through it. I've seen both sides. I've seen the wealth. I've seen the poverty. So I'm right there in the middle, and I know how to maneuver between both sides. And I use it as an advantage more than anything else. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Here's what I find is really interesting. So, in the many years of running my camp, there's literally now like dozens and dozens of coaches that have worked my camps. A lot of times they were high school coaches that are now coaching in college. I mean, it's you know, obviously, you know, EJ, he's one of them,
Yep.
Marcel, but there's multiple guys that and one of my things always is that like it's incredible because I always encourage that, right? Whatever they want to go. Like my whole thing is like wherever you want to go, like go to it. And
Yeah.
you know, listen to what you really want and just go to it. And don't, you know, I've had guys say, oh, you know, I'm going to go coach at college. I'm not going to be able to work your camps anymore. I'm sorry. I'm like, no, we'll find another guy to go work the camps.
Yeah, it's all good.
You go make your dream happen. You know, now, if your dream was to run camps for me, great. I'm glad to have you on board forever, you know?
Yeah.
And I do have a few guys that like, they actually are, they work in corporate is their day job, right? They're not. So
Okay.
this is their ability for many, many years to be able to coach kids because they have a corporate job, right? So for those guys, some of those guys have been with me for 10 years, right? And they just want that part of it. So understanding what you want is a huge thing. How do you get that? And I think this is really important in quarterbacks because they got to relate to so many different people on the field. How do you get your quarterbacks to understand that they've got to understand what they want to accomplish and what they want their team to accomplish so they can then execute on what they've got to do and then be able to get the players around them to buy into that? How do you instill that in your quarterbacks?
It's like it goes beyond just on a playing field. You know what I mean? And you got to think about every, and I like to speak to my quarterbacks as real as possible. And this is why I tell the parents, you know, for the next hour and a half, just please like go take a walk, go do something, like so I can get this quarterback up to par. But I like to remind them of how important it is to become, not even because a lot of people think, oh, he has to be a leader. Yeah, cool. Everybody knows the quarterback, the head of a snake, but just getting people to buy into what you're wanting to do and just being a people's person in general. I think the number one thing with a quarterback, you have to be a really, really, really likable person. You know what I mean? If you're somebody if somebody thinks the quarterback is a complete a-hole, then they're probably not gonna go off, you know, feed off your energy. Because I've been around those situations where I was a backup quarterback and I've had more control over the team than the starting quarterback did, just because of how the starting quarterback lived their lifestyle. And it goes, you know, even on social media. I'm like, hey, you can't post the stuff you post. You can't talk the way you talk on social media. You know, you got to respect your parents. I like to teach them aspects outside of football and related to their real life, because a lot of the times when you're coaching a kid, you're coaching them in their element. And a lot of the situations you relate them to football related situations, compared to saying, hey, take a look at your dad. Could you imagine if your dad was an unstable person, how messed up, you know, the family probably could have been? You know, your family is probably really happy and really loving because your dad is a great person and he knows that he got to take, you know, basically all the pressure and all the weight to make things work. So it's the same thing as a quarterback. As a quarterback, you got to be ready to be praised when you win. You got to be able to be ready to be criticized when you lose. You got to, you know, when it's time, when you're doing really bad, you're expected to always be doing really good. And what I mean really good is not even on the field, just mentally. Okay, you throw an interception, you know, you come to the sideline and I ask you what happened. I promise you not the best answer a quarterback can probably give me is, I'll ask him what happened. He tells me, oh, coach, I don't even know what happened. Right? It might sound crazy, but I like quarterbacks to have amnesia. If you make a bad throw, I don't even like I care, but it's like, bro, move on. You know what I mean? Because you get the ball every play. You're the head of the snake. You know, this team, this game doesn't go on without you. So I like to build up quarterbacks, the mental process more than the physical, because if you're 100% right up top, then the chances of you excelling on the field is really high. A lot of the times a quarterback put a lot of pressure on themselves to realizing, bro, you're in control of this whole damn game. You're in control of this whole practice. If you come into practice, look at Cam Newton. Cam Newton didn't have the best year, but I can guarantee you that team still loves that man because of how he handles himself on the field and off the field. So I think the quarterback is more mental than physical, because if you have a cluttered mind at that position, man, it's going to be chaotic. You know, if you're worried about the backup beating you out, or if you're worried about throwing an interception every play, then you're not going to be able to see yourself, you know, succeed at that position. Like me, I played dangerous. Like I made a lot of throws because I was just like, hey, there's a tight window, I'm gonna throw it. If I throw an interception, it happens. I just know next time I have to throw that ball, I know I can't make it through that window. So I like to build on the mental aspect, and you know, just it's something as small as because me, I like to coach my quarterbacks on focusing on the target once they make their read. So it's something as small as my quarterback can be dropping out in a practice, and I'll be talking to him throughout his drop back, you know, or throughout his rollout, just so I can know he's breathing, that he's going through his motions with a clear mind. You know, I want the quarterbacks to always have a clear mind. I don't want them to be too cluttered, you know, because I deal with it. Like now, it's tough because, as you know, I have the #1 quarterback in the state of New Jersey under my belt, and I've been working with him for about a year now. And I think his best thing is where he separates himself, because there's quarterbacks who threw for 4,000 yards and they threw for way more than him. And okay, they think they're supposed to be ranked higher than him, but this kid is like so there mentally, Dave. Like he's sharp. You know what I mean? And
So
there's
Limo?
Limo, Mike. There's no reason, or there's no really like secret to why he's gonna be successful. Like when you talk to him, he talks to you with respect. He walks with a high chest. He plays the game to the best of his ability. He don't try to do too much that he can't do. So I think he's a prime example of why he's going to be successful. I could use him as an example. Even Cole, I've worked with Cole Freeman. Cole is the same way. Cole has I joke around with Cole a lot because Cole is so damn competitive. Like he wants to throw a tight spiral every single play. And if that ball wobbles a little bit, Cole's going to lose his mind. So I like kids like that are aware of how good that they can be, and they're not full of themselves. You know, people think because you're the quarterback that you got to be the guy that's like, oh yeah, like I'm the man. No, it's not about being the man. It's about being a man, you know, at that position. You got to be a man at that position and own up to your mistakes and know how to maneuver, man. There's no secret behind it. I've worked with over the year probably close to 80 different quarterbacks that fast. And the ones that are elite, they all share the same tangibles. They all share the same thoughts. They talk the same. You know, they text me when there's a college football game going on. Coach, what do you think about this? So it goes beyond just playing a game, man. It's just being right up top is what I like to build on my quarterbacks, honestly speaking.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because representing a few quarterbacks that go to the NFL. We have one right now that's in the NFL, and there's a couple of guys I'm representing. And there's been a couple other guys that I've represented I put in the NFL in the past that are no longer in the NFL. And I found some interesting things, at least with the quarterback position, but not just the quarterback position, but with even NFL players. It's like that level that you're talking about, they basically live their entire life like that. So,
yeah,
which is really interesting when you become an NFL, like they live there, like they have a calm demeanor. Like you get on the phone with them, you can have a real conversation.
Yeah.
Like a real conversation. It's one of the things I try to talk to like kids I coach. And I said, when I talk to like a quarterback that's working to be in the NFL, it's a regular conversation. Like me and you were talking to adults. It's two adults having a conversation, being able to talk, laugh. Like there's no such thing as like I have to sell them on doing the right thing. When I ask them what they think are like their best attributes, they can like reel it off like this. Like
they know
exactly what they do really well. They know what they might be like a little bit of their weakness. And it's so interesting because when I talk to other players, and this is why we've started in the last couple of years to move more to representing a couple of quarterbacks each year, is because when I talk to other players that I'm interested in talking to, I'm looking for those same qualities in the other players that I talk to from other positions.
Yeah.
And now what's interesting, it's a lot harder to find in other positions, and it's not a negative on them. It's more that the level of expectation that a quarterback has on them all the time is way higher. You know, you can play another position and focus on your role, and that's all you have to focus on. As a quarterback, you can't. But what I found helps NFL players succeed when you're talking about that higher level, that when I talk to a player, no matter what position they are, and I can have a regular conversation with them, and we could talk about things, and they have somewhat of that mentality of the quarterback, I'm like, if this guy gets his opportunity and
take advantage,
actually good enough on the field, because obviously that's a big deal, he's going to be very, very successful. And I found that those guys are the most successful in the NFL, because most of the time I represent guys that we would be sleepers, guys that have to move up on the charts. And we've done, we've had over 20 guys go in the NFL in the last 4 years. And part of that is by helping guys understand like what you think you could do on the field and what you think your mentality is. Like the NFL coach has to see that when you go in there. And if that's really you, it's all going to come out, because those guys, like, they live everything. And you saw like last week when they fired 8 head coaches like that, they live or die trying to figure out how to win ball games, and everything else that goes on outside of helping them win or lose ball games doesn't work for them. So if you have the right mentality and you go in with the right mentality and you're a very good player, you're going to have a great chance to succeed. You'll see some of the greatest players not maximize their ability because
of the thought process.
Yeah, the thought process. Like guys that, like, you know, how many times you see a guy that comes out that's drafted real high that just never reached the potential they had in college. Well, college is this. College is, I'm the head coach. I have all my assistants. I have all these people around me. And those people's job is to make sure you get to class, you go to practice. You have multiple father figures that are helping you out throughout college, especially if they do a good job, right? When you go to NFL, that's really like, so high school football, I equivalent to like, okay, high school football, it's like a young kid going through puberty as an athlete. That's what high school football is.
Yeah, it is.
Right. College football is, you're a teenager, even though it's different. You're a teenager figuring out, you know, life, and your parent is guiding you through life. NFL is manhood. It's like, this is manhood. You have to be able to do the job without anybody telling you to do the job. Like you have to, you know, you got to be in there. Like, let's say practice is at, you know, you're on the field you have a meeting at 8 a.m. You know, you better be in there at 6 a.m. watching film. You better, when practice ends at, you know, you're done for the day at 1 or whatever after you guys eat and stuff and you have your meetings. Or maybe let's say 2, you're done for the day. Well, the great NFL players stick around for another 3-4 hours, and they put in a full work day. They're there till 5, 6, 7 at night watching the opponent, right?
Yeah, watching the film,
Watching the opponent, watching what they did. So they might watch their practice and see what they did, or watch the opponent. And so that's manhood. Like, you know, how much film are you watching? And the faster that players in high school start to figure those things out, and in college, obviously, the better prepared they are, the higher level they are over next people. And quarterbacks, from the time they're in high school, if they're good, you know, like Lima's a good example of this. They're gonna watch film already. Like, they're gonna watch extra film.
Yeah, you don't got to tell them.
Exactly. So you have to get to manhood as early as possible. The faster you can get to manhood and
Yeah.
self-sufficiency,
The better off.
and parents, and you deal with it. I love what you said, where you tell parents to go take a walk. I actually wrote this down because it's so good. And you said it in passing, okay? But it talks about the mindset of what a quarterback has to have. And that's why I say, because I deal with NFL players and I see what has made them successful, and I see what guys have failed and what reasons why they failed. And the ability for parents just go, let him take a walk and let that quarterback mature is so important, because if they get to let's forget manhood. If they are a college level guy in high school, they're going to go as high a level as their ability will take them. And in some cases, Division I, sometimes height and size dictate some of that stuff. But as high as level they can go to, they're going to go to that. If they somehow get to manhood, okay, in high school, you have what Trevor Lawrence did this year at Clemson. That's manhood. And Tua, I would say, is a pretty good example.
Him as well,
as well. But that's being getting to manhood level in high school, meaning your mentality is already like a pro in high school. If you can get to that in high school, you know, whatever level you go to, there are guys that go to Division III and they dominate Division III, and that's fine. You will dominate that level because your mindset and your understanding of what has to happen is on an NFL level. I'm not saying you're an NFL player, but is on an NFL level. And when I see the analysts, they're like, "Oh, Trevor Lawrence, he can make every throw," or we were talking about Tua last year, right?
Yeah.
And I say, well, yes, he can, and he's 6'6". I mean, those things are all great, but you know what? Trevor Lawrence played in my All-Star game when he was in 7th grade. Okay, people don't know this.
Damn it, that's crazy.
I know this. Trevor Lawrence played in a parent actually sent me after he won the national championship, said, "Hey, just want to remind you, I don't know if you remember, but Trevor Lawrence played in our game in 7th grade." It's a guy who has a couple sons at Division I also. And I said, I've forgotten. He sent me over the film. He goes, "Watch the film." So I watched it, rewatched it, and Trevor Lawrence got killed in that game. He threw that cost them. They were driving. He was the quarterback driving them down the field. Threw a pick that they lost the game. Okay. And you think about it, and you look at him, and he's tall for 7th grader. I mean, he hadn't hit puberty yet, but he's probably already 5'8", 5'9" in 7th grade. So you can see that he's going to be a big kid. But he was an ordinary human being in 7th grade, meaning he hadn't yet evolved into what he's becoming. Right? And in a very short time period, 5 years, a very, very short time period, he evolved from a kid who's playing in an All-Star game, and obviously he was good enough to be there, right? Because it's an All-American game, so he's obviously pretty darn good. But among the other stars, he wasn't a standout. So what changed? Well, obviously he became hit puberty, got bigger physically, and obviously continued to develop his arm strength. But he was a pretty good passer then, but he was still throwing picks. What changed? He developed physically, and his mentality got to an elite I
way quicker than the average player.
Watch how I pull up a video, and this is my favorite thing, and I'm going to talk to you. I want to ask you about some of the things that you do because I'm really intrigued. I pulled up the Elite 11 from when him and Tua were seniors in high school. Okay. And the Elite 11 video is so interesting. Both him and Tua, and they're different people, but both him and Tua are very intense, and enjoy the process, but are calm at the same time. Like, you can see they're intense, like they'll bite your head off, okay? But they're somehow calm. Like, they're relaxed, and even though you see the intensity. Like, you can see the intensity, but you can see them calm. And that's, to me, like, you could see manhood there. And Trent Dilfer's trying to figure that out, right? Like, a lot of it's for TV and stuff, and I laugh at that kind of stuff. But basically, bottom line, it's manhood.
It is.
They're men in high school, not just physically, because there are guys that are physically men in high school, but they are mentally men in high school. And it's no coincidence that when you look back, you go and see that success. So my question is for you, and I want to let you talk about it, because I actually do a lot of talking sometimes, and that's probably probably a weakness of mine.
No, it happens.
Some of the things that you use, like whether it's books or videos, what are some of the things that you could share with people that really, really have helped you get your mentals in the right place to be successful at what you're doing?
One, I can 100% say reading the books that kind of relate to your life and your understanding work for the best in me, and just being aware of the actual process. Because what I think it is, Dave, like, and this is like kind of our philosophy over at the high school as well, but I've instilled it into my training. It's like, yeah, you want to go professional, you want to go and play at Ohio State, but I don't even think it's about getting to Ohio State. Or me in my situation, I want to become a professional quarterback trainer to where I'm training quarterbacks on the highest level. And my thought process on the actual process is what sets me apart, because it's not about passing the test. It's about what the hell you got to do to pass the test. You know, it's not about winning that championship. It's all about the things that lead up to the championship. So if we're in January and you know the championship game is in December, what are you doing in between? Like me, I knew that I was going to become one of the top guys in New Jersey as a quarterback trainer. I just throw it out there. I knew the whole time, but it was like, what do I have to do on my part, on my behalf, to put myself in the best situation? So I started going to camps. I reached out to you to see if I could work with you. I trained quarterbacks for free at times. I'm not even gonna lie, I even reached out to Tony Ratsiopi a few times, and I was like, hey, any tips, anything. I think I asked you as well. I was like, look, Dave, I'm blowing up. I just need to know, what should I be up against, or what should I be aware of that I know I'm about to be up against, as I go through this process. So I just think my ability to dissect and analyze every situation, I literally analyze everything. It's like, okay, I have this quarterback and he has a really bad time. He has a really bad throwing motion. Am I going to keep putting this kid through drills, or am I going to go and do my homework, research, and educate myself on how to get this kid throwing motion to be where it needs to be? So again, it just all falls back to my philosophy of saying to just being able to adapt. There are times when you're not going to be able to get the best out of a kid, and instead of me saying to the parent, well, I don't know if your son is going to do it, I go home, I reflect a lot. I reflect a lot. I go home and I reflect on my day. And if I'm in a good mood, or if I just had a really good session, because there are times when I'm like, damn, I just killed that session. I go right back and I see, why did I have a good session? How did I start off warming up? Or how did I start off my day? I like to remember what exactly it was that made me have that good session, or how did I land this client? I like to remember, what did I put myself through to land these kind of clients, so that I know how to do it in the future. Because now I started without a plan, but the bigger you get, the more you have to plan. So it's like, I know what I'm up against, and I become way more self-aware of what's actually expected of me to do. Now, does it always work out? It doesn't. But again, my ability to analyze every situation has helped me by far. I read books for a reason. I read books on how to deal with people. I respect everyone. There's not I'm a teacher at the high school as well. I don't go around just respecting the principal. I respect the janitor as well, just because it's going to help me become a better person. And by me becoming a better person, I'm able to give somebody else all I have. Because if I'm not building myself up, I'm not going to be able to give my quarterbacks all I can give them. I'm kind of cheating myself. So I do a lot of self-reflecting and building on myself, and that allows me to get everything out that I can to my quarterbacks. And there's not a session that I've had that I haven't felt good about, because, again, I want to be the reason why somebody has value. I love bringing value to people, and the way I bring value to people is bringing more value to myself. If I can increase my value, then guess what? My client's value is going to increase as well. If I can go and if I got to fly out to California Because I'm actually gonna. I don't know if you know Jamal Ligon. He's like a professional trainer out there in
Yeah.
Los Angeles, and I'm
Yep.
gonna go out because I knew Jamal. Jamal trained me when I was in JUCO in college in California, but I'm gonna go out to see Jamal for about a week or two just to see how he works with his clients, and not even to steal, but just to see how he build relationships with these professional people so that I can instill it into my guys. So it all just falls back to being proactive, man. Like, you know, I know now, I know way more about a quarterback now than I ever known, just because I do more research and it's what I have to do. So just being able to be self-aware and analyze every situation has gotten me so far. Like it's crazy. I've built up my self-esteem so much over these last few months to where I can train any day. Sam Darnold can call me right now, and I swear to God, I'll feel so confident going to train Sam Darnold right now, just because I know the work that I've put in and the homework that I've done to get myself to this elite level. So just remaining proactive, man. Until I can't be proactive, I won't be. Like right now, I have a client at 12 to 2, and then I have another one at 7 to 8:30. Who the hell wants to be training at 7 to 8:30 on a Saturday night as a 27-year-old kid? Right? But yeah, like seriously, like you got to see my schedule. Like I was talking to someone last night, and I had sent them a picture of my schedule for the month, and they were like, "Bro, you know you got to take like at least one day off, right?" And I'm like, "Do you not realize the field I'm in? Like, if I take one day off, I might lose a client, you know." And I can't do that right now. I can't afford it right now. Like, I just can't allow myself to be content with the little bit of success that I have tasted, because if you leave it up to me and my ex-girlfriend now, she would be upset at me because she was like, "Look, man, like you get all of these blessings and it's like none of them phase you." And I'm just like, honestly speaking, like Trevor Lawrence and Tua, those guys are so calm and so poised because they know the work they put in. So when it happens in front of them, it's like, yeah, I'm really happy, but I expected it. You know what I mean? Like I didn't like. I feel like people are only surprised when they know they don't deserve something. You
Right.
know, like that's the only reason why people are like, "Oh, damn, this happened." Yeah, because you didn't expect it. So you gotta, once you know what you put in, like you know the foundation you built. So if somebody wants to come and buy out or work with you, you're gonna be like, "All right, come on, let's do it." You're not gonna be surprised because you know the work you put in. Like I deserve this. So, and you gotta have that kind of cockiness to your game, because if not, then I don't think you're gonna ever allow yourself to grow. And I want to keep growing, man. Like I'm still a sponge. Like you would think that I don't want to take in information. If somebody hits me up right now, like the kid's shoulder dropped too low on his throw, I might tell him, yeah, okay, but I'm really gonna take advantage of saying, well, why did somebody else just comment that the kid elbow is dropping? Is his elbow really dropping? I don't never stop receiving information. I don't care who you are. You know what I mean? So it's like being able to keep my mind open to everything and not being opposed to nothing, man. I'll keep doing it as well. It's gonna get better. That's the scary part. That's what people don't realize. Like if you think pressure is being applied now, just wait till 5 years down the road when when things start spinning for real. I'm not gonna stop. I have no intentions on stopping, bro, at all. This is why I'm a teacher, and I'm probably not gonna stop being a teacher because teaching allows me to work with kids all the time. So
Right.
I'm in my element. From 7 a.m. to about 10 p.m. And even when I come home, I'm still in my element. So I'm going. Trying to be professional about it as early as I can be, as you mentioned with the quarterback.
Well, I'll let you run in a few minutes because you got to get prepared to go. A couple of things I thought was real interesting. So I think riding momentum and seizing opportunity are two key things that I think when people build business, and you really touched on it. It's like once people start to recognize that you're good at something, you got to keep building on it. That's your momentum, right?
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
then opportunities, like, so when you get to work with other people that might be really good in your field, that's an opportunity, right? And so seizing opportunities that can get you better. I think those are important things. I'm going to connect you too when we get offline here with the guy who might be considered, people don't realize, but work with I think he's working with 10 guys in the NFL right now. And I'm going to connect you with him. He actually works with my guy my quarterback I represent in the Midwest. And obviously you're going to be helping out David Pindle, from UConn, but he works out with this guy in the Midwest that I have, and he's worked with. Oh, the Miami's quarterback, the guy who was with the Redskins is now he's somewhere else. I can't think of his name. He works with the 49ers quarterback, the one who got hurt from Eastern Illinois. He works
Garoppolo.
Garoppolo. He's worked with a bunch of guys. I'm going to connect you because I think you'd find it really interesting. But this was awesome. I actually wrote down. I love how you kind of coach the parents a little bit. I think that's really good. That's something I think everybody.
They always laugh too. They always laugh. I'm like, go, just go off the track, and they just go for it. I'm like, yeah,
they're probably
go, bro.
Surprised. They're probably surprised because they're so quarterback parents especially, right? They're a lot of times as driven as their kids, and definitely are hands on. So they're probably they probably. Are surprised because most people are spending all their time kissing their butt. So
no, not me. I've done enough kissing up to get you to pay me, and now it's my go. Let me go. Let me off the leash now.
That's fantastic. Where could people find you? How can they get in touch with you?
You can find me on Instagram. My Instagram is at Lamar Mcknight, and also my Twitter is Mcknight QBA. I'm in the process actually tomorrow actually at 5 p.m. I have the meeting with the web designer, so my web page will be up within the next month or so. And yeah, I'm located in North Jersey at 360 Fitness in Fairfield. But again, if you want to reach out, you can email me at Lamar Mcknight Quarterback Academy at gmail.com, Instagram at Lamar Mcknight, and my Twitter is at Mcknight QBA.
Perfect. Cool. It's been great having you on, and I
appreciate it, bro.
Out there. All right.
I appreciate you, Dave. Thanks for having me.
All right.